Okay, so I'm just going to start the whole thing again because this has just been...
Cool. Yeah,
Okay,
go for it.
Go on.
Right. Okay, so welcome to another edition of You May Be Entitled to Compensation with me, Bert Gilbert, and my co-host, Carl Allen. And this week we have Izzet Ers, who is also a great artist that I work with in the studio to discuss specifically this week. The topic is bad dates that we've been on, which at this stage I think
it's going to be a good show.
Well, we've got some terrible
it's a bit of a
tales.
riot. I've got some good. These are just springing up in my head as
Well,
we're talking.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but first of all, like, I mean, where do we go with
I've got
this?
a really bad one,
no.
but good. Also, whose is that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that would be great. Like, just imagine.
Would you like a small intro?
Yeah.
Well, Izzet and me work
Who's
together.
this random person?
Is that? I mean, we can all. Is that did work in fashion for years?
Yeah.
And is it the impresario of fur for years and years and years?
The Empress of Fur.
As much as working with across like a million. I mean, more or less everybody doing across the fashion industry. You more or less work
I
for
was
at some point.
collaborating with loads of other designers while I was doing that because they needed to do, for their collection. So I kind of met loads of people. So I kept in touch. So it's that's it.
Well,
But-
it's not. It's
and then
that's not. That's it. He's brilliant.
Yeah,
And we now work together with a art collaboration called the Sinistry.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, and I do still work in fashion. I do like creative pattern cutting with different designers, so that's part of the job as well. And my
I know it's on your write-up. It said McQueen.
Yeah, I did McQueen before, and at the moment I'm with Burberry.
Cool.
So yeah, and then I have also a little brand which I started, which is an upcycle brand. I collect like vintage second-hand clothing and remake them and make little capsule collections.
Second-hand what?
Second-hand clothing.
Anything.
I collect them for years.
They're
Mostly
beautiful.
like
Yeah.
I try to use like silks and wools, like nice quality stuff which I can see around.
Got it.
Instead of like they're going to waste. I collect them and I cut and paste and remake them,
nice.
retailer them. Yeah, it's called Imago.
Imago.
Yeah.
IMAGO.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
the logo for it just
Yeah.
to throw
Yeah.
myself in.
You're
the
a bit
ring
of a
there.
star when it comes a bit of a
Like
secret
graphics.
star when it comes to graphics.
Secretly, maybe too
Yeah.
secretly.
Yeah,
maybe I should be actually
That's
earning
why
a
we
living
don't
out
have
of
any
it.
jobs.
Yeah, right. This is why.
Way too secret
Yeah,
about all the
because
things
this
I
is
can
why
do.
I push that and just I'm not sure I am that. I cannot do that. But you did all
it's-
this stuff. You can't do that.
I'm entitled to
So-
compensation for my imposter syndrome.
Exactly.
Let's get to the compensation dates.
I remember one is quite funny. It's the very beginning when I first moved to London. And I was quite pissed, and I met this guy. And I think the guy said like he was Lisa Stansfield's brother. It was like, I don't know why he said that, but I was with him all
Because he's
the
been around the bars.
Exactly. I was like such a weird thing to share. But I thought, okay, whatever. So I was like snogging him anyway. Like it's not like he needed to tell me so. And now we end up.
But,
said,
you are using it in the story, so it has
Yeah.
worked
It
out
is-
for him in the
yeah.
end.
Exactly.
It's worked out for him.
It's really, he's
It took
famous
20
now.
years.
Yeah.
Finally.
So he said you can come tomorrow. And I said, okay, come, let's go. And I remember being in the taxi maybe over an hour. I thought oh my God, I think I'll be kidnapped.
I've done that.
Well, you're like, okay, now I'm having.
And then I said, I am also really drunk. I said, and I stopped, I can't understand him. I said, is he talking another language? Because I was new here. I was really heavy accent, but I can't understand anyway. Whatever happened. I wake up in the morning as well. I was like, where are we? We are in East Ham. Quite far.
That is quite far from a Soho
And then
trip.
he had the worst, he couldn't speak. He had this speech problem, which I couldn't understand in the
which is
club.
why in the cab.
And I was in the cab. I was like, what is he talking? I thought I was drunk and I didn't want to. So it was really, really weird. So I said, when I realized, I was like, oh, fuck, how am I going to go home? And I didn't know where I was. It was kind of a really weird one.
And what, was the shag worth it?
Yeah.
definitely worth it.
Well, then
it was good. I mean,
no
it was fine.
compensation.
No compensation. Yeah, exactly.
How dare you come
That's
your claims
well,
and
like,
basis.
basically, I mean, he couldn't speak,
pe-
which can sometimes be of benefit.
but
Do you know what I mean?
That people make up these things.
Jesus.
People make up that they are like I don't know, brother, sister, or son of someone famous is funny, and it's not true. Also, you don't need that. For example, another person I
You
remember.
don't need it.
I mean, Lisa Stanfield's from isn't it like Rochdale?
It
doesn't sound like
but
maybe.
was,
do you
this
think
other
it
guy
was a northern
told me-
accent that you couldn't understand?
I don't know what he was. No, he was a major
and Lisa
starter. No, he couldn't
Stanfield's
speak.
making the
It took
eggs.
ages. He was stuttered. Like I thought he was having a little mini like I don't know. I couldn't understand. It was really difficult.
This is I mean,
because there was someone else was like telling me like, oh, he's Trevor McDonald's like a son that he rejected, and he was like some really weird stories. Like, why are you telling me all this weird like?
This
so
is
that is not true
it's
as
like
well.
weird trivia. Yeah, I had a guy with a weird trivia. He was like, "Oh, my sister is the woman from the advert, the insurance advert, Black Widow." Yeah, the Black Widow, and she takes off the gown.
I mean, that is quite good.
Yeah,
though.
and the horse goes past.
That's really
Yeah.
good.
I'm like that.
Okay.
What? I'm like, don't stop me, I'm working.
Yeah,
I mean,
weird.
that is quite good. That along
Yeah.
with, if it was that outfit or the Au Naturel one where they used to blend into the tree, that would have
In
been
fact, she's here.
that would have been a good one. You know, if you're going to make a weird claim to fame.
Yeah,
I think-
I mean, you can't have a claim for these one, I guess. It's just like a funny story.
No, but I mean, you could maybe like ask for your travel fare back for this time. I think we could award that for you because essentially this is what we decide if you're allowed compensation.
In fact, when people take you that far out, I think they really should be
they should bring
paying.
it back.
yeah,
Yeah,
they should
if
get
you
you
live-
back to like at least
I'm gonna
like a
get you back
central
to-
location because East Ham in like early 2000s is more or less like traveling to
it
Norway.
was, it was 1999.
That's a
It was
long
one
way
of the first
But
things.
when I first came to London, the halls of residence for Foundation were in Tooting Beck, which was like a real trek to get into then Farringdon and like going on the Northern Line. I remember my first experience. This is this is not dating directly, but first experience coming back on the Northern Line was like a 15-year-old in like Adidas 3 stripes just wanking off in front of me on the way to Tooting Beck, and I was just like looking at him.
I thought you were talking about you.
No,
no,
he was just opposite. He was just opposite me, just like wanking off, like
looking at you,
looking at me, and it got to the point where it was like really awkward because everyone was like getting off the train, and I was then
How many
looking
people
at
are on the train?
Well, like it was sparse, but like because it was so bad, it was late at night going back to Tooting Beck, and I was like
a bit scary.
It was a bit scary, but I also was like, how old? I started going, how old are you? I was like, you don't even have any balls. So, which, I mean, I
checked.
You know, kind of worked, but it was quite intimidating anyway. That's just saying. So I think, that's my... I think I should be entitled to something for that.
But there's not a date, though. Well, you have to tell us a date now.
No, sure, but I'm waiting for you to because mine
I've
are
got
like
a small Northern Line one.
Well, go on.
Just a small one.
Go on.
I was coming through town at the Northern Line. I think we're on like Kennington branch.
Yeah.
And I get off at Kennington. But the guy opposite me was like feeling himself up, getting hard, and then doing this, and I was like, "Oh, it's not too bad actually." So I'm like, "Okay then." So I'm starting with this, like, "Go on, come on," like as if like, "What else you got?
Exactly.
What else you got?" He's
Go
like,
for
"Yeah." He
it.
goes, I was like, "Okay, we're gonna do it." So we got off the train. We go into, and it was in Kennington. You know, they have the alleyways between the platforms.
Yeah.
So I went through the alleyway, and there was some stairs. So he pulled his pants down. Yes.
Oh, wow.
And we start doing it. Like in the stairwell, yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm great. 6 months later, I get a job on London Underground.
What?
Yeah.
When did you work on a London Underground? How was this
my
job?
life.
The jobs and you always tend to involve some form of sex.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a hint, like a
I
little
don't know. Yeah,
sign?
if it was maybe a sign. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna exceed like in this.
And the guy was not hot at all, and I really thought I'd gotten away with it. But when we were doing a tour of like stations, I realised everything's cameraed the fuck up.
Right.
There's cameras everywhere.
Well, you still got
and then
the
I
job,
went back
though.
there. Yeah, I got the job. Yeah, it wasn't at Kennington, luckily. But yeah, and then I started working on the Underground, and then I started realising everyone's fucking on the Underground.
Oh.
I used to manage Stamford Brook. Do you know Stamford Brook? That's
No.
out west. It's
I don't
past
even know where
Hammersmith.
that is.
Public toilets
you
inside the
managed it?
station.
Oh.
Yeah, I basically managed it by giving people tickets to go into the toilet. Raffle tickets. Serving number 12 in cubicle 2. Take your freedom pass with you.
Brilliant.
All belongings outside. That's how you manage
Clean up
a tube
afterwards.
station.
Freedom pass. Brilliant. Very good.
All right, go on.
I mean, I'm not ready to get in. I'm not ready to get into some of my
Do you
stories.
want me to go
I
another
can't-
funny one?
I think you probably know more of them than I can remember.
Isn't that
Right,
awful
about
when your
yours.
friend knows all your shags because you can't remember them?
Or yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's yeah.
I
Thanks
have
for
that a lot.
No, it's
Yeah.
more like there's been so few. It's just there's
Oh,
been so
really?
many terrible dates along
Yeah,
the way.
yours is more than the date part.
But the
goes
date part,
funny.
then it's like gone. You know.
Oh, of course, because you guys do dates. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's part of the problem. I suppose I'm not really dating anymore as a result of having to online date. I think they're so.
I think it's just shagging.
I mean, the
now. Shag in, shag out.
recent one comes to mind. The guy was interviewing you.
Which one was the
Do
interview?
you know, he was kind of constantly like that guy. Just kind of was suddenly interviewed you. Like you said, I felt like sitting
During the
there.
date?
During the date, he started to go asking really these questions. Like it was turned almost into interview. He
how
ordered
much
everything in
notice?
advance before
yeah,
you
that
arrived.
one.
Instead of like
That
she was
one.
actually.
Did he start off by saying
That
you didn't
one.
how much
Ask what
notice
you
you're going to
want.
have to give your ex-girlfriend?
It was.
This is interesting.
Yeah, actually, I
Yeah,
remember
that
that one.
is a
So
weird
like, it was
one.
like a quick like. He was like, "Oh, would you like to go out for some drinks?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "My treat." And I was like, "Great, because I'm poor at the moment." But I arrived, and on the way there, I said, "I'm going to be like 5 minutes late." And he was like, and he's like, "Oh, I've ordered some drinks," and I was like, "Okay," doesn't know me, so I'd said,
It's
"Oh, by the
all-
way, I don't drink white wine," and he was, but when I arrived, he'd ordered some like a sort of mild fizz white wine, which was quite nice. But it was the principle that someone doesn't know you and has immediately ordered for you without asking as an adult what you might want. And then as it developed, he then ordered all the food without really asking what I'd want, and then he started telling me, he was like, "Oh, because of how successful I am, I can just do whatever I want, or like I just wake up, have a sauna, and then just like look at like entrepreneurial business things that I might want to do." Right. And I was just a bit like, okay, cool. He's like, and sometimes I take my dates to like New York, and I was like, well, why are we in Clapton for a start?
Yeah,
Clapham.
why are you
Not
ordering
Clapton,
me
Clapton.
chips in Clapham?
So he was like, yeah, sometimes
you
he's
got
just
really bad
he's
hand
like,
of it.
and he's like,
Yeah.
I just like on the spur of the moment, I just like we'll just fly, and I'm thinking, well, okay,
Wow, let's go.
Let's go now. Then I can easily go and pick up my passport. But it was more or less like it felt like an interview. I felt like I should have taken a CV with me, because it was just like it was so kind of formal. And what I realized is he was ex-advertising, which is like, it was just basically like me listening to his pitch about how wonderful his life is. And he was like, I've really stopped dating like women in their 40s because they're so tired. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure. I understand why they're tired. And he's like, I just want a woman that's like, got the same it's got the same kind of solvent level as I am, and free time, and isn't tired. And I was like, well, you may need to make some compromises along the way on that. It's like he'd had kids and he was like divorced, and it was like the sort of what was like amazing about it was just like you just want. I said maybe maybe you should just go back to the 20-year-olds because they're going to be a lot. I said, because most 40-plus-year-old women are going to be tired.
How old was he?
He was about 44. And he was like 6 foot. So he's like, I don't really have a problem. He was like 6'3". He's like, because I just don't really have a problem because of my height. And I was like, it was just wild. The whole thing was wild. And as someone that is like mid-40s, I'm tired. I was just like, I realized why I'm tired. Do you know what I mean? It was just, it kind of was quite, I think it was the whole thing. It was like there was some charmingness of being taken out for dinner, but it was really it felt like this is like me just watching you do a show, and I just have to sort of sit there.
A pre-prepared show.
Pre-prepared like
those
showcase of how fabulous he was, and then he started telling me he had a 16-year-old daughter, and he started saying, "Oh, you know, my daughter's been telling me this week about like the man with the man and the bear like meme, you know, that women would prefer to be anywhere near a bear than actually a straight man." And he's like, I think it's ridiculous. You know, I said to my daughter, like, what about a man in a pinstripe suit? And she was like, absolutely no, bear. And she's like, and I think she's ridiculous. And I was like, she's right. Do you know what I mean? If there was an option of being in a cage with a pinstripe suited man or a bear, I'd still choose the bear. Yeah. But anyway, so that's a mild one. That it was like, I can't get any compensation for it because essentially he bought dinner, but it was, you know, for conversation for time. It kind of depressed me.
Did it develop?
If you take it to New York.
No, we never spoke again.
Oh, did you shag?
No.
Oh,
and also that was like nice. It was like
it was kind of like, yeah, okay, bye.
He was like, the showcase was done, and then he was like, bye, and literally disappeared. So you felt like you were being rejected from a job interview that you didn't want. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I'd done a bad job interview, but he showed me how he was.
Have you ever like dated someone and gone on like a really shit film, and then this has happened twice actually? Normally I don't date, we just fuck, and then we just see if we like each other. It's really good. It's a plan, it works every time, except for 2 occasions where the guy's like, let's go see a movie. I'm like, okay then.
Why? The movie thing.
I know, but it's sometimes when they're like trying to be mask for mask, and they're like, oh, let's not shag, let's go see a movie. So I'm like, okay, let's get to know each other. And both times terrible. The first time I went to see Dr. Dolittle.
Oh,
I mean, what a choice.
Really
Someone
bad.
took me to see Dr. Dolittle, and literally we came out and we looked at each other and went, so I'll see you again, yeah?
I mean, that has got to be the biggest turn off.
And literally not one word ever again. And another time someone took me to see a movie, we both kind of, what's the point in seeing a movie? In a date, you don't get to fucking talk to each other.
Yeah.
You sit in silence.
Actually, I remember one person
and then the
took me
date
to
depends
see.
on how shit the film is.
I remember one time, like someone that I actually dated for a while, but he took me to see. I forgot what it was, but it was 3 hours.
Oh my god!
No, but something, you know. And
Titanic.
And I was I was just sort of sat there thinking, I can't sit still for more than 5 minutes. Anyway,
it's a really bad idea to take you to a cinema.
And he bought some snacks. But I mean, I ended up dating him for about 5 years, so obviously
that worked.
Somehow it worked, but like.
Oh, you did? Maybe that's good.
Yeah,
the restriction we really liked. Someone put you.
I'm sure I really like the restriction. Yeah, I'm sure. Someone's actually,
yeah. I think cinema is a bit a bit more intimate, and then you can go and talk after about what you want.
I don't want to do that.
The first date is a bit silly.
Yeah,
I think it's ridiculous to sit by someone you don't know watching something.
Exactly.
I can do that on my own. I don't know anyway. It's not cinema days. Like, no.
But my worst ever second date was in Clapham as well. This guy decided to take me to a party. I was like, oh, we're going to a party. Second date. That's good. He's like, yeah, you can meet all my friends and everything. And I was like,
wow,
oh, great.
really quick.
And he was a school teacher. He was like a professor at some college. I won't name and shame him. Because the first date, he was just obsessed with sex toys. Like dildos, like big time.
I've got some stories about that.
We'll go into that. So it's like dildo. I'm like, girl, I'm a bit tired. But second date. So I'm like, okay, then this is good. We get to do a party before we go home and do dildo. So I'm like, this is good. Then he gives me his coat. And so he introduced me to his friends. Hi. He's like, oh, here's my coat. And I'm like, oh, cool, here's mine. And I was like, oh, where do we put the coats? And the guy went, just take them upstairs, shove them on the bed. I was like, okay. I said, I'm going to shove these upstairs. I'm probably going to go toilet. I'll be back down in about 5 minutes. Can I have a vodka Coke? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I go upstairs, walk into the bedroom, and the lights are on. There's like 5 guys standing around the bed. They're all like smoking, stuff like that, chatting shit. So I walk over to them. I like throw the 2 coats down. I'm like, so, like, do you guys know the guy whose party it is? And they're like, no, we don't, but we do know you. And they all start grabbing me and pulling me, and they take my shirt off.
Oh my
so
God.
I've got the shirt off. So then they're like, whoa, and push me back onto the bed.
Oh my God.
So I'm now on the bed, shirt off. Somebody's unbuckling me. My trousers come down.
This is a film.
This is reality.
There is rape.
And this is the first time I'm like, let it go. Just let it go. So I'm like, okay then. So one guy is noshing me off in like 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Immediately with Carl.
I've got one in this hand, one in this hand, like that. So I'm going between them. Completely forgot where I am. I'm on this bed. There's someone there, someone there, someone there. Some guy's kissing me. I'm like, this is there's coats everywhere. I'm like, clean up, aisle 4, bed 4. So I'm like, and then I knew it was going to happen. I heard the door to the bedroom go. And by the way, they switched the lights off.
You've been allowed 5 minutes. You've been let off the leash for 5 minutes, and you ended up with like 6 cocks.
I got the best line ever, and I've never really known the power of this line. I've seen it in movies, but now I know the power of this line. And the guys had turned the lights off, so I know I'm in the dark. I've got one there, I got one there. This guy's kissing me, another one noshing me off, and I'm thinking, do these guys all know each other? Are they friends? They must all like know something. So the light switches on. I'm like, oh no, not the light switches on. The door opens in the distance.
Oh God!
And as it opens, he's stood there
with
a vodka and Coke and his drink, and he looks over at me, and I literally do this. Oh, it's not what it looks like. And then I heard one of the other ones go, did he just say that? And I was like, putting my pants, I was like, get off. And I like went over to him, and he's like, I can't believe you. This is our second date. And then
oh my God.
I took my drink off him and I went, well, maybe I just needed a human connection. Yeah.
Carl,
I think he's
entitled to compensation. That's what we realise each week. The story comes down is that Carl and me are generally the source of compensation claims. That is brilliant.
And I bubbled that story down for you because it's actually quite
extensive.
Yeah.
What is it worse?
It's worse, but I kept it nice and
PC.
Oh wow.
PC.
Like
good.
It's definitely not PG.
But that was a second date disaster.
Wow,
but I really liked the guy. He was like a professor. He was just my type and everything.
Wow.
And I would never have been that person that lets people do that. But it just kind of happened, and I was like,
go with it.
And the other thing I thought was, maybe he's part of a swingers group and I don't know.
Oh, like, you thought maybe it was set up for you.
Yeah.
So all these things are running through my head.
Because he told you to go upstairs and put your coat on the bed.
So I thought...
But whose house was it?
It was... who knows? It was his friends. And so they were friends of his friends that were upstairs. They'd obviously all put their jackets down. They all knew each other. And then when I came in...
I think it's almost, you were a victim in some way.
I was a victim.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you think if you said no, would they let you go?
A victim of crimes.
Yeah.
Misled.
Very, very misled. Yeah.
Very misled, yeah. I felt awful afterwards. I did feel really bad.
Did you see him again?
I saw him downstairs at the party later. I was like, I'm not leaving, babe. I came all this way.
He's again, it comes down
and
to
then I kept thinking, because we broke up at the party. But then he didn't want to break up with me. I had an affair.
You did have an affair.
I had 6 affairs on our second date in 2 seconds.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you're avoidant?
Why can't I say that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. The classic, one of your classic.
The one I was telling you before. Yeah. There is quite sweet. There's this guy I was dating.
Sweet.
He was very sweet. We dated for we dated like forever. It wasn't just one. So I met him. I was doing this club nights with like Colin, and then he was one of the dancers and like quite good looking, like muscle Mary kind of. I didn't realize he was into me, and then we kind of, we were together a couple of weeks in. He stayed at mine one night, and then we had sex, whatever. It was a lovely night. We go to bed. In the morning I wake up, I was like, what is this smell?
That's always the question.
So I said,
I
thought maybe he just had a fart, whatever, that it's getting worse, but he's sleeping. I was like, what is happening? I'm looking, I put my hand wet. I was like, what the fuck is happening? I pulled out. He had a massive diarrhea in his sleep, the whole bed covered in shit. Horrible stench. I was so I want to wake him up, but you see, I woke him up. So he woke up. By the way, on he woke up. So. I can hear.
Cool.
I woke up. No, he woke up and he was like...
And there's you holding the shit.
So he was so petrified. He's like slightly older than me, but I can't see. He was like red. He was like about like a heart attack. I said like, okay, look, don't stress. I'm going to leave the room. Why don't you just clean? Because I don't want to stress you out. I can't see, he's so upset. So I go to the kitchen. I'm preparing because I'll prepare breakfast.
Was it your house? Was it his house?
No, my house, my bed.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I go to my house. I
thought you were at his house.
I thought we were in East London again.
This is like actually old streets,
Did you
like
not have
around
to
the
get
corner.
A new mattress?
Well, he cleaned it amazingly. Somehow I left him almost an hour later. An hour later he comes in. He says, "Old," and I went obviously late. I didn't want to go straight away check, but I went out because I knew him. Like I see him all the time. So it's like, oh God, and he was so embarrassed. I could see, and like I prepared this breakfast. We're eating like in silence. Trying to get rid of that smell of the shit. I'm trying to make loads of egg. At least the smell of egg and whatever.
Egg and shit.
Egg and shit.
Wow, that's volcanic.
Yeah, that's
sulfuric. I said
sulfuric. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's gonna be the episode title. What? Egg and shit.
Yeah, egg and shit. It was something like I've seen him after, but I don't know if we've not been after. I think he was supposed to leave and he moved to Australia after that.
Did he move after that? Did he just move
Australia?
countries after that?
He had to move away, unfortunately. Yeah, I think he was using like, apparently I found out like it was on steroids, and apparently it causes people like really bad like
diarrhea.
Problems like that, like with digestion, either constipation or massive diarrhea in the sleep without realizing he was still asleep.
Oh my God, I've got a good shit story. Well, no, it's the shit story, but it's not a dating shit story.
He cleaned it, so I don't know if maybe a new mattress at least will be good.
I'm betting. I think you should be. I think retrospectively.
I didn't ask anything. I just want him to I felt really bad for him, so I want him to leave and go on whatever.
Sure, I know, but we're talking about retrospective compensation claims, and I think retrospectively you should have, some new bedding would have been ideal, or a new mattress. Yeah, because it's tricky.
Yeah, I mean, at least, yeah, you're right.
That's what we will allow that for that.
Maybe a bottle of bleach or something.
And a bottle of bleach, yeah.
That's awful as well, though, because you said he's like someone that you knew. You'd met him a few times.
Like
one of them people on the scene. That like you see each other all the time.
Yeah, he was like a dancer. He was like quite known in the club. Like you could see him all the time.
Oh, what was his name?
I can't tell.
I remember. It's making me remember this date that I went on with a personal trainer years and years ago. This is bad, and I mean, bearing in mind that I realise that most of my dating stories don't involve having sex. Like, this is the general problem.
Yeah.
Like, all of yours are like, for me, it's like, it sort of peters out before any of the amusement might arrive. Do you know what I mean?
You have a prep problem, the preparation to pre.
We had a prep problem earlier.
Well, I don't know if it's just like, then I just realised what nightmares these people are. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, absolutely no way they're coming near my vagina. But anyway, this one, I basically was like, I decided like, you need to just have sex with someone that just looks like good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, forget trying to find a husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's just go for like, he was like a
Looks.
fitness trainer. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he looked fit, but like, anyway, but I'd been on like a previous date with him where I'd made him do hot yoga. I'd taken him to a hot yoga class,
Brilliant.
which I thought was great because he was just like, "Oh, you're so bendy," and I was like, "Yes, I am." Let's end it there. But then we'd gone for a drink, and so he was essentially not very clever, but I was like, this is an ideal sex date. Like, I'm going to be an adult and I'm going to have sex with somebody. But I'd done some, I'd basically at least done some
Like
whatever
clean the flat.
I'd done some due diligence. Like, it
Right.
wasn't just anybody's house that I was going. Had met him before and I was thinking, okay. And yeah, again, I'd rented my house out with Airbnb. So I was come back from my mum's house that I went to stay out for a bit, and then thought, he was like, "Oh, come round and stay over. I'll cook you dinner." And I said, "Well, we'll have a suitcase." So I arrive in Bruce Close with a suitcase, looking immaculate. But like, I open the door. He's like in some scraggy jogging bottoms. Like, his washing with his pants is all over this tiny little flat. And I'm just a bit like, I'd brought like 2 bottles of wine and some snacks. He's got like nothing in the fridge. He hasn't cooked me dinner. And he was like, more or less immediately just trying to, like, he was like immediately just grabbed me. And I was just like, no, I need some warming
lubrication.
Up here, like, you know what I mean? And also, you promised me.
I'd have been in there.
I know, but
I'd have been, my knees.
But either way, no. But you know what I mean. There was no charm in it. And so then I was like, I thought you were cooking me dinner because I do need some.
Now look what you've done. You've taken it away from I just need sex.
Yeah,
You've gone to
exactly.
dinner. Like, you should have just gone with
well,
it.
I should have got
just
some training from you. But it was a bit much to just walk in the door to see somebody's underpants on a. I mean, it's a whole thing, but aesthetically,
I find it quite attractive.
You like it.
Yeah. It's
This is
great.
ideal for you, but
real life.
no,
really
I know,
like.
but it's a gay man's fantasy, but it's not like it wasn't my fantasy.
No top, grey joggers.
It wasn't.
Swinging,
Yeah.
You can see everything.
No, you see,
He
that's what
grabs
you want.
up,
It's not what I
pulls
want.
you in, you're
Either
like,
way,
"Fucking hell."
he then like orders some food and sort of like orders himself like a pile of food for himself, and then like me like a small like some like tiny little nibbling things, and I was like, okay.
What
The
cuisine?
worst was so afterwards I was just like, okay, fine, like this is I'm like slowly my expectations, I'm like managing them to like
fast, not slowly,
like,
really fast.
really fast. Yeah, no, over like some chicken nuggets that I don't eat. I'm going, okay, and then he's like, so shall we go upstairs? And I'm like, sure. We go
Upstairs.
We go upstairs.
There's an upstairs.
We go upstairs into what
More of
only
this shit.
could only be described as like a teenage boy's bedroom that had like some plug-in air fresheners that were so obnoxious that I was nearly passing out with the fragrance. And he's like showing me around his room, which is pretty much like imagine a 15-year-old.
This is my Katy Perry poster.
More or less,
This is my
yeah.
Transformers
And then he's like
poster.
putting on some tunes, and the tunes are like Euro House, and I'm like, can we have something more relaxed? You know what I mean?
How
Rather
old
than-
was he?
He was like 32, 33.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I would have been about 40-ish, 41-ish. I don't know. So I was like... And then what ensued was just the worst experience of my life. I was like, there's no amount of alcohol that would have made this better. And also, basically what he wanted me to do was just not move. So he wanted to have...
During sex, you mean?
Yeah.
Are you talking bad? Oh, bad
yeah,
sex.
so he
okay.
basically just wanted me to act as if
Dead.
I was dead.
Necro.
because he kept saying, "Stop fidgeting," and I was like,
breathing.
I was like, "What do you mean?"
Stop breathing.
He's like, "Stop fidgeting." I'm like, "That's my internal organs." Like, that's because I've got really good pelvic floor. It's not fidgeting. No. It's what a human. It's what I said. It's what a human being does.
Yeah.
Like when they're. And then at this point, I was like, "Sorry, do you want me to not move?" And he was like, "Yes, that would be ideal."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, "Okay, I don't know if I can do
you
that."
need me to face the other way?
But suddenly, by this point, it's like 12:30 at night, right?
Yeah.
And it escalates. I'm like, "So do you just want a human fleshlight that doesn't move?" And he's like, gets insulted by that. And I'm like, "Well, okay." So, and then I just... unfortunately went on a comedy rampage, and he was like, "You've got to go." Now, bearing in mind, it's 12:30 at night. My house has got someone in it.
Oh, yes.
I'm in Bruce Grove, and nobody at that point, if you need a hand, if you need help, has got their phones on anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone turns their phones off. So I'm just like, you were near. I tried to phone you. You were near, like, everyone's phone was off. So I'm sat outside with my suitcase, this like terrace house in Bruce Grove, thinking,
I should have just laid there.
I should have just laid
Because
there.
it's quite near to us.
I know. I was thinking I should have just laid there, but then I'm like, I can't, like, nobody's, and my phone's about to die on battery as well. So the phone was about to die. It's like 12:30 a.m. I'm like, okay, this is a low point. But what I realized is that my studio at the time, which was an industrial warehouse that had like old tile factory on Bernard's Road called Carville. It was like, essentially, it's like this corrugated,
A corrugated
huge shell that has like, you know, has a toilet but has rats in it, essentially. And
so you have to knock.
But also, so I was like, I got to the point, I was like, this is the only option. I'm going to have to
go. Good
option.
Very near as well.
Okay, the only option, but I'm going to go and have to sleep in my studio. Yeah. So I basically get into this freezing cold studio. I am like, this is a real low point of my life, like bringing the suitcase in. By this point, it's like 1 a.m. The taxi dropped me off. It's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm going to stay in my own studio." But bearing in mind, the studio has no roof.
Yeah.
The compartments had no roof. And it was massive, but... And I was making these sky portals at the time, which are all made out of fur. And I'd got this industrial metal shelf. So I made a bed with like bags of fur, like some neoprene, and just put on my infrared like rhino heater. And then... And this piece I'd been making, which was like this shadow, and essentially, so I slept on my own shadow, which I think was so poignant that evening. And I was like, "You're really gonna have you were on a
Tonight,
Jungian point of view.
Shadow.
I'm sleeping on my own shadow. I will never do this again."
Yeah, I think maybe.
And I woke up, and it was.
What was the lesson?
I don't know the lesson. I don't know what the lesson was. Lesson was stay dead in bed.
Stay dead.
Stop.
Act dead.
Oh, but it was so. It was so gross that he knew I had nowhere to stay.
Yeah, that's.
Do you know what I mean?
Gross.
That was quite bleak.
Yeah.
It stopped me dating for a long time.
Really? What was his cock like?
I can't remember.
Who cares?
So it wasn't.
Who cares?
Yeah. Well, no, it's not to the point where you're like,
what
"Fuck."
with that?
Okay. Maybe I'll like shut the fuck up and just lay here if it's really good. But obviously it wasn't
but
good. It wasn't.
It's so weird when somebody's wanting to.
Yeah.
I was like, he essentially just you want. I'm like, you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a.
I think
I don't know what I'm entitled to. The taxi fare and like my own therapy.
Yeah, I think
like
you're definitely entitled to something there.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, something. A mattress.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe like at least like a good takeaway or something. If you had some nice food earlier.
Yeah, it would have been better if that would have been minor. Maybe I think you should have just acted like it was kind of dangerous leaving somebody outside at that time as well. I mean, I know I'm an adult, but anyway, there we go.
Yeah.
Maybe some personal training sessions with them.
But it sounds like it would have
He
been.
needs some personal training.
PT.
I know. Sorry, it's a slightly sad story, but it's quite.
You didn't say to him, "Hey, look, it's dangerous out here." And
I did, yeah. And he was like,
"What did he say?"
He said,
it's
"You're
all
an
right.
adult. You'll deal with it."
I've already warned the neighbours about you. You're the only danger around here, babe.
I think it kind of made me realise that, you know, it's like you
Terrible
always need
person.
somewhere to go back to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, but this I remember another one very similar to
my
you.
God,
It
you see?
happens. I don't want to give the name, but the tailor. You went into olive dress and he was in his
quite a
tracksuit as well.
famous tailor. Yeah, and he like made me a pre-war soup, and then like
A pre-war soup.
Yeah. He was like, "Come over for dinner."
gonna cook for
I
you.
arrived in a black cat suit over knee-high boots.
Yeah.
Like this. He was in his jogging bottoms, made me a pre-war soup, and it was like something that my gran would make me. It was like
minestrone.
pureed soup. So I was like, and then like sort of, oh yeah, that was and so I was thinking, oh, it's going to be like another sexcapade gone wrong. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go out in this great outfit. And what I got was jogging bottoms and a pre-war soup. And then he was like trying to get this outfit off, but because I put on essentially a contraceptive outfit, there's like hidden zips. I couldn't find
You couldn't
how to
find
get out
any
of it.
entry, no
There's no
entry.
entry. It was like there was a tiny zip here, but he couldn't work it out. Considering he was a tailor, he couldn't work it out. And like the boots over here, it was like he's like, "How can I get in?" And I was like, "You can't get in without permission." And then he just like came in his own pants, and that was that. And I just left.
Oh.
I was like,
This is
without doing anything, and I was like, okay.
You could. I would get you like a bespoke suit at least out of this as a
I didn't
compensation.
get anything out of it. I mean, I'd love to.
Came in his pants.
I was like,
I'm still there, girl. I'm still. He
basically
came in his
all
pants.
the stories. Yeah, I was.
She's like, I was murdered, left on the street. He came in his pants. He came in his pants.
Weird.
Yeah, and then I just like got a taxi.
For you,
I rang
that's like a step up. So we've gone from no sex to someone's come in their pants.
Right.
What is it to her then?
How's this
Now we
helping
need
me?
to. I don't know. We need to figure this out. If we can get to the bottom of this.
You know what? It would be helpful because the rest of the stories. I mean, the best was when I tried to I went onto Field and couldn't even get sex on Field, and then I went to meet Izzet, and then one of his friends' husbands was like, I told them the story. I was like, I can't. Like it was like a kind of comedy story of like I can't even get sex on a sex app, and he kind of came to me and he was like, "Would you like me to talk to my wife and see if I could have sex with you?" And I was like, "Oh my
Yes.
God, I do not want a charity."
No, go for it. Charity fuck's brilliant. What did he look like?
And then, so I left those drinks and like went home, realized I'd lost my keys. And this is when I met my neighbor. Basically, I was outside my house, like with black paint and stilettos and this whole outfit on, just sat there at like 2 a.m, contemplating how I was going to again get into my house. But this time there was nobody in it. I just didn't have any keys. This is where I met my neighbor who brought me in for the evening. But anyway.
Yeah, funny.
Nice.
Yeah, charities. I've often been asked for a few. Like
Charity
people
shacks.
have,
We
given
recently
me.
had one.
Yeah. They were like, oh, if you'd like to have an affair, like.
Yeah, sure.
Who was that?
Oh, I didn't tell you that story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you it
Interesting.
later. Anyway, I think we've had enough from me.
We've never had enough from you, babe.
No, you have a few more, but it's okay.
I can't
This
give
is
them
quite
all
a good
in
one.
I can't give them all in one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Carl's got a few hidden up his.
Well, no, I've got.
You want a
Here's the
sad
problem.
one? I have a sad one. I can tell you.
Oh,
like,
sure. Let's
Yeah.
have. Shall we? Yeah.
Is
we
there
can
a
have
death?
a death, a
Because
funeral.
we've already had
No, but this is a bit
We've
like
had
the
necrophilia.
first time.
We've had charity.
No, the
We've had
ghosting, maybe.
ghosting.
This is what I'm gonna say. A bit ghosting.
Okay, yeah.
But it was so old, like there was no like word for ghosting, but it happened. So I knew this guy.
blanked.
He came not blank, like we were together. Like I knew him from back home, Istanbul, and he kind of came here, and realized we clicked on, and like we were like together and we were really having nice time. He was here on all day, stayed with me. We kind of like seen each other, and then I went back home on holiday. I tried to go more often to see him. So we were one day together. I said, I need to go to my uncle because it was dinner, and we're gonna see each other. This is like, we know each other at that point, maybe like for a long time, but we've been together long, and I came there to be with him. He knows that in the evening we were gonna go out, and I'm calling him, no answer, like he's not answering. I was with him like early, like we're gonna go out. No, I didn't hear from him like for years. No. Then he moved in here, and I've seen him somewhere.
What do you mean he moved in?
He moved in. He moved to London.
Oh, okay.
He lives here now, and then I was like, "What happened? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really curious."
You saw him out, or?
No, I see him something. He came to our exhibition actually.
Oh.
Yeah, I know him. So we are still friends. He said like, "Oh, just like he went into this major. He was in depressed mood, but he didn't want to share, and then something was going on with his work." But I said, like, I've seen you on the day and you ghosted me in the evening. Like, I was there, like, you could have just said, I can't go out.
That's so weird.
Just say something. Like, I thought he died, because at that time we didn't have like more. I'm calling his friends and everything. It's like, no one's like, we don't know, we didn't hear from him. So he suddenly got into this dark place apparently, but he didn't share with me.
I mean, that can happen between 3 and 5 p.m. easily every day.
But it was really funny because he used to like write me. He was really into me as well. He was writing me like amazing poems, like really things no one did to me. So I was like really into him, and I was like, suddenly
I want to see some of those amazing
poems. I thought he died.
I know. When you say amazing poems,
it was nice. I
don't think I've ever received
no
poem.
one. I'll start writing you some amazing poems.
Give him Romeo a song.
Me and Izzet composed some. I mean, they're more like manifestos more than poems, but they are quite ridiculous.
So you guys in the same studio still, or no?
Well, in the same studio,
Great.
Yeah, you have quite a few ghosting stories as well.
I've got hundreds of them.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think it's like part 7. We could do more dating
Ghosting is a separate one, maybe. It's not a bad day. There is ghosting.
No, that's a separate area. Like
I know.
Ghosting, like, and then, like,
there is
deleting,
like a cultural.
Like, going out on a date, them asking to go on a date with me again, and then deleting me before I've got home. That's a good one. I've had that before. I'm like, what was the point? What I don't get was like, what was the point of going through this rigmarole of pretending that you want to see me and then deleting me and blocking me before I'm home?
I know.
Like, I'm a big girl. I can, like, it just doesn't make sense.
Also, don't promise me anything.
Like,
that's the app phenomena, though. If you're going to go through everyone, you need to remember the ones that you've already done. And to do that is to block them. I know a guy that did that to me.
What?
And I was like, just a minute, I'm a pretty decent fuck. I mean, why the fuck are you blocking me? Like, I didn't even get home, and I was like, blocked. And I was like, well, just a minute. We spent like 2 days shagging full on.
Yeah.
So Ivory's on a come down.
I mean, I only even get a coffee. I don't even get anything. At least you're getting this was a coffee day.
Cock. At least,
Don't even get to see anything before I got
after a coffee.
Yeah.
You need to send more dick pics.
I know. I need to. I need to start sending dick pics back myself.
Yeah.
Here's mine. It's bigger than yours. Go on. But go on. So you see.
Yeah. And then I realised afterwards, I was like, I spoke to someone else. They were like, oh yeah, that guy's fucked everyone. He's like, he just basically goes through them, and just like the reason is he just kind of blocks people after he's shagged them, so he doesn't have to like re-engage with them afterwards.
It's weird though, and quite bleak.
Weird.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone's got their own little kink. That might have been his kink. So
I think,
like, you know what?
Yeah, the kink
Go
is
for
just
it.
generally like not being polite. I think if you should have some fun. I think the compensation comes down to just some basic manners.
Yeah.
You know, of just being like, no thank you, yes thank you. Like if you went round to someone's house for some dinner, you'd say thank you for dinner. You'd think if you've gone round someone's house and had sex, at least it could be like, thanks for dinner.
Do you ever give them like
tips? I just think
minimum.
What? I think in minimum, I think it should be at least as polite as going round for dinner. If they could be like, okay, we're not interested, but thank you very much.
You know, like afterwards, have you like said like honest truth about sex and given them a few tips?
Oh, I've given loads of people tips. Do you know what I mean,
like
baby? But I haven't had sex for so long now. So and during
the tips,
the workshop.
Wrong
yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to stay alive during this. The tip is that I'm not going to be dead.
He's like,
You?
yeah,
Why, what
tip,
about you?
stop moving. Oh no, because I'm more kind of out there. I tip Kevin. Yeah.
What-
I'm like, he's like, how did you enjoy last night? I'm like, yes, especially this bit. Not so much this bit, this bit, and this bit, and this bit. He's like, But I was like, but you know how you can improve those bits? He's like, no, tell me.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, I'm feeling something here.
Oh, interesting.
Like, yeah.
Feeling
Is
what?
it bad? Like, I'm feeling an attitude now because I've said something.
Oh.
No.
I don't know, not
No,
necessarily.
there's a communication.
That's
There's a nice,
communication. I think
yeah.
you should be able to say.
It's a healthy communication.
You should be able to say, like, I don't like this and I do like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there was an Italian man that once just used to like to lick me, and I was like, please
Stop licking.
Stop immediately. I'm not a dog.
Yeah.
Or like I love it.
Oh, you're
But it
not
was
a
also
dog.
the length of the tongue. Like it was so awful. It felt
Everywhere.
like
Was
I
it
was like,
wet?
stop it. He's like, I love to lick you, and I was like, I do not want it. Please go away. I think I ran away from that. I actually ran. It was in Gloucester. He was so into it, and it was so upsetting.
There was a guy in
There's so many
Turnmills.
things. Yeah.
Go on. So, don't know if it's the same guy.
I'm entitled to some compensation
Yeah.
for that. I felt like unclean.
At least like a COVID
No,
test.
you should
or
have felt
something.
really clean
Oh,
afterwards.
it was awful. It felt like. Ugh.
Maybe this was his brother. Like, do you remember Turnmills?
Yeah, yeah,
Guys
yeah.
with the trade?
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the security guys, really nice, lives in West London, and I'm sure everyone knows him. Someone goes, I went home with him, and literally, he must have spent 6 hours rimming.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't even see his face. I was like, he came up for air like once, yeah, and then eventually it got so like 6-7 hours later, which is fine because you're on MDMA.
Yeah.
If you're going to trade, you've taken some E or something.
6 hours?
Yeah, it's daytime, so I'm like, oh, I'm going now. And he's like, what? Oh, okay. And so I just pulled up my pants and just left. And I'm like, well, okay then. We didn't do anything else. Nothing.
Oh,
like, it
wow.
was just, he went down there. That was it. 6 hours.
What were
of
you
rimming.
doing? Like your taxes?
And then, yeah, after a while,
Like what were you doing? Like
At the start.
making international
Yeah.
calls. I've just written my CV.
that reminds
I've done
me.
all of my emails.
Admin.
I've done all of my admin. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. It's been a really pleasurable experience. I've got to go for breakfast now.
And then
Wow.
one of my friends the next week went to the club, so you have to go back to the club. And he's there, and I'm like, oh, hi, how you doing? He's like, I'm good. And then one of my friends is like, I think he wants to shag me.
And you're like,
he's
well,
I'm like-
get your admin ready because
I was like,
you
yeah.
could get all your bits and bobs done.
Get your computer again.
Take your computer, you'll be on your laptop,
And
you'll
he
be
lives-
busy.
And he was living. No, I say he was in West London. He was in East London, and I know that because I coined him Jack the Rimmer afterwards,
Jack
and
the-
everyone's
Brilliant.
That is
Jack the
good.
And
Rimmer.
everyone was like, "Where's that guy?" I was
Jack-
like, Jack the Rimmer.
I mean,
Yeah.
this has got so many titles for this podcast.
Yeah.
Jack the Rimmer is ideal.
Egg and shit.
Along with, what was it?
Egg and shit.
Egg and
Egg
shit.
and shit. And then I don't know what mine is. It's like, just play dead.
Yeah. Could you stop moving,
Yeah.
please?
Stop fidgeting.
Internally.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest, that's the weirdest request I've ever had.
Oh,
I don't know, maybe we should end on that bombshell.
let's end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks very much, Izzet.
My
Did
pleasure.
Did we get any compensation? Did anyone?
Oh. Well, Izzet's allowed like a new
Some
set
free
of bedding,
sheets.
Yeah.
a mattress, and what
A
was
date with another guy with diarrhea.
and yeah, I think that's pretty good out of
That's
all of
fine.
them.
Yeah. The rest is okay.
You again probably have to give compensation out.
I'm skint again this week.
Yeah, you're skint again. And then I think I'm allowed some as well. You know, I don't know what
Yeah.
for. I think just like some kind of like resilience award mixed with like just I don't know, a medal for surviving. Maybe not.
I think I don't know. See, again, I'm getting the feeling that a lot of people that have been
Right, yeah, Carl, where are you going with this?
in your life
Yeah.
sexually, but like, because I'm seeing a bit of. Are you not seeing a theme here?
What's the
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
The theme is like You.
You are the problem. Is this
Yeah, but we already know that I'm the problem. But what exactly? What is the aspect?
Because we need to get you.
I'm-
Because like I think you're refusing to get into the sex thing.
But hang on a minute. I don't think that's entirely fair, is it?
Yeah,
I got
do
thrown
feel like-
out because I refused to play dead. Another person came in his pants because he couldn't take my clothes off. And then what was the other one? On the other one, I just got ordered dinner and told that I was basically too tired as a 40-year-old, not solvent enough to be with him. And then the other one? I don't know.
I
think
can't remember.
I know I'm the problem.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
and then charity.
No.
Maybe a little compensation.
I mean, we've got to end better than that.
Yeah.
We've just ended like it's like a flat balloon. You're the problem. We know I'm the problem, don't we? We know ultimately.
Maybe we just end on that. So,
No, I
that's
think
the
maybe
problem.
you need to lower the
Yeah.
expectation. This is what it means.
Oh my God, it's the bar's so low already.
No, not that. But that, for example, if someone is inviting you for dinner, don't
I think
expect
it
like
is.
full-on dinner. Don't go with like super dressy people are coming. So people may be asking for a more casual night.
I
in.
mean, okay, to lower the
they've
bar.
all involved dinner, food.
Food.
What was it? Soup.
no
Fucking
see.
pre-war soup.
Yeah.
Ended up pre-war souping in his pants.
Oh.
There was the other one.
Yeah, the charcuterie board.
Yeah, the
Shame.
charcuterie board. So yeah, maybe it's not you, it's the food. So you need to cut food out of the sex
I'm definitely
life.
involved. My picker
Yeah.
is definitely involved. Like it must be, off on that front. I think
Yeah.
I just think you should have a team of people choosing because clearly
Yeah.
I'm making some bad decisions. Anyway,
On that
on that
note,
depressing note,
I'm
that
out.
I am the problem.
You're fired.
Thank you very much.
I know. I feel like a
Thanks,
1980s
Izzet.
like prosecution witness, like to the
Judge Judy.
Yeah.
You are Judge Judy. We need to get. Yeah, I know.
Maybe you
This
shouldn't
has
have
been
dressed
quite
like
mild,
that. Yeah. No, sorry. That's how I'm feeling right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
some cloaks. Thanks, Izzet. Anyway,
Thank you both. It was fun.
yeah, it's going to need an edit. Thanks, Carl.